Welcome back to your side quest, and we are very happy to be sitting here talking to you as always. Now, this week I think we have a pretty interesting topic. Of course, with some questions sprinkled in, our experience in the setting of the Forgotten Realms. Now, you may notice something else.
What?
Where are the webcams?
What?
We had some technical difficulties.
Oh.
So now, the editor is going to use his ever-loving time and paint the scene. Paint the...
Delete her.
Editor, silencer. Editor, paint
Don't
the scene.
silence me.
The five of us wandering down a long, winding road to the town of Daggerford. That's
No way.
where the story starts.
Holy shit.
Did you even
now,
explain
of course,
what we're talking about?
The Forgotten Realms. We're talking about our experience in the Forgotten Realms. I DM'd
Oh,
the
okay.
campaign in the Forgotten Realms, and it started in Daggerford. Now I just want to know, what is everyone's character? What is everyone's character? We're going to start off over with Noah, because I think his character is awesome.
I think my character is awesome too, but I think everybody's character is awesome, so it doesn't mean much. I played a character named Olrin Noirtenin. He was a Goliath paladin who came from up in the spine of the world from a tribe called the Noirtenin. And the tribe was led by this crazy, powerful Goliath who we call Blackhand, because one of his hands looked like it was dead to frostbite. And he would go around the spine of the world and take over tribes, and he had this strange ability to bring people back from the dead. And Olrin eventually moved up ranks in the tribe, and eventually something came to him. He thought it was a god. I forget the god's name at this point.
Was it Tempest?
Tempest, I think.
Yeah, he thought it was Tempest, yep. And Tempest spoke to him in his dreams and gave him the power of the sun, and told him to go find other members of Tempest to become the one and only, or not the one and only, but the most
Strongest.
powerful, yeah, the strongest worshipper of Tempest. So he moved down the mountain to go find the other worshippers of Tempest to become the strongest.
The strongest.
That he
Ooga
did.
booga.
Well, I'm also interested in talking about Alyssa's character, because she did duo with Jonas, but he unfortunately could not do anything.
Goodbye.
For
I
those wondering, Noah left his desk.
he did. I played a funky little character named Isra Karim. She was a tiefling rogue, and she was the heir of the throne in a little place called Ragheb. Her
Sorry.
her family had a lot to do with the undead. They had this innate ability to manipulate and talk to undead. So they were trusted to lead Ragheb, and yeah. Isra was very much Jasmine from Aladdin, where she wanted to explore the world and felt trapped in her little palace. How dare she? And she met a
Rich
fella.
people.
She met a fella who was trying to break into her kingdom, which happened to be Jonas's character. And they went off together, and she spent a long time of the campaign being wanted by her dad. And I'm gonna shut up and stop yapping because.
All right, and then we'll mew over to Halia. What character?
What the fuck does mewing mean?
Don't ask.
Oh, fuck you.
Just pretend.
Okay.
Just pretend it didn't happen.
Anyway, what? Who am I? Oh, hi. I'm Halia.
Hi, Halia.
Hi. I played a funky little gal named Zari, and she was a Githzari. And
Very
she.
creative.
Thank you. Thank you. I didn't even put two and two together until just now. That's really funny. Anyway,
Let's go.
she came to the material plane to look for her lover, named Virith, who was a Gith Yankee. Because I love those star-crossed lovers. Yo, I'm so funny.
Your character is
guess
just
so.
one big pun.
Absolutely.
Unintentionally. Pun. Love
But yeah, she came to look for him because they left. I think they left Limbo together after the whole mind flare shit happened. And they were traveling, and then Virith opened up a portal, and they did not go to the right place. They basically crash landed into the material plane and lost one another. So her whole thing was, I need to get him back. And that's how that came to fruition.
That's the start of Baldur's Gate.
Yeah.
That's her
No.
backstory.
No,
Except she wasn't infected.
Speaking-
That's true.
Yeah.
I do. I made her.
You never know. Well, speaking of, and I'm the DM. And speaking of backstory, Evan, let's give a little bit of backstory about your character.
I played a halfling cleric of life named Cade Finnegan. I'm not doing the voice because I'm not in the mood for it.
So true.
At your service.
Kate Finnegan.
Cade Finnegan. That's right.
What they said. He was a halfling from Hillsfar and really hated his life due to the fact that his parents were both trying to worship and bring back a lich. It's been a while, so do correct me if I am wrong, Ryan. But afterwards, what had happened is he ended running a way to a church that was just outside of Hillsfar, where he started to learn about a bunch of different gods. But the one that he ended up worshipping was Lyra, goddess of joy. And after much personal struggle, ended up setting out on his own, and ended up meeting up with the party, trying to bring meaning to his life.
Yep, that sounds about right. And the final character of this story, of course, was Jonas's character, aptly named Mikhail.
Not at
I
first.
believe the original name was Kin, because he started off. His backstory was he was a part of a cult that worshipped a Tao in the desert just outside of Ragheb, and a bunch of one night he broke into the castle in Ragheb, met Isra. And eventually, after that, a group of worshippers of Lathander came to his temple and murdered everybody there. And the only way for Mikhail and the Tao to survive was to combine and become an Earth Genasi named Kin. They went, got Isra, and they fled across country. And they eventually all wound up in the town of Daggerford, which at the time, by the way, this is about 100 years past the current canon date of the Forgotten Realms. So Daggerford was ruled by a man named Cowan Daggerford. And they turned up there. And there was rumors of a spider named Thousand Eyes just in the woods. And they met with a man named Silverus. And that's kind of where the story began. And does anybody really remember the start of the story? Or
You just said it.
I mean, like, past that
We
point.
went to kill a spider. We killed the spider.
Killed the spider.
And we got money.
Yeah.
And then we went to Elturel?
No.
Where did we go after this?
I I actually don't remember. I think you went towards El Terrell. Well, hold on. No, because I think
we were going to El Terrell.
you actually ended up in Cormyr. You never stopped at El Terrell because
They do
the-
know how to write them. Cool.
the reason why is because El Terrell was a place that had Silrus's master, which I believe it was Evalinor, and he was like, yeah, if you're ever looking for a new job, come here and yada yada yada, and of course, who liked doing that shit? You guys kind of went up to Suzail a bit, and then eventually went down to El Terrell. And I'm also kind of curious about what are some do you guys have any early game memories that are kind of memorable or stick out to you about your characters?
I was really fucking tiny.
Tends to happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wonder why.
I mean, it's not really a yeah, I guess, but it was really silly, cause when we were all introducing ourselves to each other, I introduced myself after Ulrin, and I had an idea for the voice for Zari, and Ulrin, I don't even know what the accent was for Ulrin.
It was the Russian.
Was it Russian? Yeah. So Zari was not supposed to be Russian, but as soon as I heard Ulrin's voice, I immediately blanked on what I was gonna do. So she wound up being Russian as well, and I felt really bad.
They were
I was like,
comrades,
"Oh,
as you
shit."
must say.
I was like, "Shit."
I mean, yeah.
Oops.
I feel like that kind of honestly led to more growth between Ulrin and Zari. I remember we
Yeah,
were
funny
at
accent, too.
this snowy place by the Sea of Stars, and I remember Ulrin and Zari at least talked a bit there.
Yeah, you asked about Vera.
Yeah. And Ulrin was not a character who would talk to a lot of the party members. He was just kind of like,
Yeah.
I'm here to find members of Tempest, and then we just smite them. And if he tagged with the party, that just kind of happened. So it was rare for him to ever walk up and be the first to initiate conversation.
Yeah.
And I feel like a part of that,
Everybody loves Zari. Everybody
Yeah.
loves Zari.
That's so true.
Everybody
I
loves
feel like
Zari.
a part of that was just because him and Zari were both kind of like, they both kind of had that same vibe where it was like, we don't talk.
Yeah.
It's too personal.
No.
No words
Rush me,
exchanged.
party. Yeah, I remember you guys went up into Cormyr because you cured a disease that was up there, and that's where you got the first taste of
Oh yeah.
of a reoccurring villain, Lorival the Blighted.
Whoa. damn.
What a guy.
Yeah, and
What a goofy
eventually,
goober.
so pretty much what was happening is the I guess sort of state of Cormyr was, heavily plagued. Almost all the cities were locked down, and you met with a man in a city called Arbel, and he was like, listen, this place is in for a rough time. If you can help, that would be much appreciated, and if not, this whole place might just go down in flames. Can you go investigate? We think that the blight's coming from the woods. And they ventured into pretty much right by the ruins of Mithranor, which are an old Netheril city that fell out of the sky after an event called Karsus' Folly. And there they met with Lorival the Blight. And of course, during combat, they kicked his ass.
Because we're so fucking cool.
But with that, they found a bit of his juices, and they
Ew, what?
were able
Why do you
to.
have furry so?
His juices?
They were able to manufacture a vaccine for Cormyr, and they were aptly named the Heroes of Cormyr. I don't think you guys actually came up with a group name past that point.
No.
Nope, we never did.
Yeah, you kind of flex that fact.
Jonas flexed that fact.
It was Mikkel.
Okay, yeah, that's
My brother was like, "Oh, have you heard? We're the heroes of Cormyr." It's like, oh, okay.
And everyone was like, no, we have not heard.
You're like, who the
Who are
fuck
you?
are you?
Who the fuck are these people?
Can't you notice we're not in Cormyr, buddy?
Fucking-
Yeah,
You're
I'm
a
pretty sure that's what like every
You're-
single NPC
you're a
said.
tiefling, a halfling, and a fucking Goliath, a Githzari, and you're fucking human. What? You're like a part. You're the beginning of a bad joke. Like, what do you mean?
Where's the bar you walk into, huh? Come on now.
The one in Cormier.
You guys have any memories of around that point?
No, I forgot we had a whole
Cormier?
disease to deal with.
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember if the moment that I'm thinking of happened the second time or the first time, meaning Lorval.
Was when you triggered
Well,
the
You're
for
thinking of
trap,
the
me-
trap
or
incident?
when
That was the
Isbert
second
got
time.
kidnapped?
Oh,
We'll get to
that
that.
happens later.
I think I missed out on the whole Cormier situation because I think I was out with my dad or on vacation somewhere. So Oren missed out on killing the big spider dude in the whole Cormier situation.
Damn.
I'm not sure exactly when he came back, but I know Ryan did a little one shot with Oren where he came back, and that was super fun.
Tell us a little bit
Yeah.
about that one shot.
Huh?
Yeah, it was just Oren coming back to Daggerford. I'm not sure where he had been, but maybe he had just started taking notice that something was in Daggerford. Or I think it was the fact that Tempest's symbol started bleeding. And that was a big part of Oren's character, was that he was looking for these other champions of Tempest to go fight, and whenever his sigil would bleed, it meant they were nearby. So he went to the Duke's house, and it led him there, and he met up with the Duke, in quotations, as I believe the Duke, something had happened to him. Maybe Ryan could explain more, but he was doing some experiments on himself.
Oh.
Yeah, so Oren had approached the Duke's house. I think it was I forgot what it's called, Dunval Castle or something like that. And he met with the Duke, and he looked pretty healthy and whatnot. However, the Duke was like, "You need to get out of here. Like, you're not welcome here." And he was like, "You are a Tempest worshipper. I'm here to kick your ass." And he was like, "All right, fine." He forced my hand, and he grabbed the fabled sword Lawflame, it's been in the family of the Daggerfords for generations. Right? It's got this ancient elven spirit inside of it. It's a sentient weapon, and of course, the fact that was lost on Oren was the fact that this was a simulacrum. So obviously, he kicked his ass. It turned to snow, and he was like, "What the fuck? What happened here?" And he grabbed Lawflame and presented himself in the basement, where he was met with the real Duke Cowan, who was half spider, half man. It was like a
Whoa.
drider.
Yeah.
He
Shit.
turned himself into
Didn't
a
know
monster so he could protect Daggerford better.
I imagine the monster. He fused himself with was the exact one the party had taken over, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was a phase spider, lower half. It was Thousand Eyes.
Yeah.
And that's also why he kind of wanted it destroyed, and thanks to you guys, he had the pieces to
Wait,
the
what
puzzle.
was his
And he
name?
performed this dark Cowan Daggerford.
Oh.
And he performed a dark ritual to mend himself to the body of this thing, and he was like, I'm the thing that's needed to protect this city of Daggerford. And of course, Oren came in and fucking kicked his ass. If
Yeah.
I remember correctly, it was a pretty close fight.
Honestly, he
But
didn't
he
even
came out on
care
top.
that he fused himself with a monster and became like inhuman. He was just like, "My God told me to kill you. Tough
I'ma
luck,
kill
buddy."
you. Yeah.
Yep. And I think you split him in half with Lawflame, and
Yeah,
as you
that fight was
exited-
scary. I remember because it was solo, but paladins are like they can dish out fucking damage. But I remember like
Yep.
first round, I did a bunch of damage, and then he did like 3/4 of my HP back, and I was like, I need to fucking
Ouchie.
finish this. I think I even rolled nat 20 at some point to
I go.
the classic paladin nat 20 dealing 1,000,000 damage.
Hey, yo.
See, I got pretty
Yeah.
lucky in that fight.
And I remember on your way out, you found the scabbard tucked in the dirt, and it looked like a bunch of people clawing their way up towards where the sword enters, which would become prevalent later on.
Mm-hmm.
Evan,
Yeah,
why
Lawflame
do you
was.
have a T-Rex?
Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it.
He had a
Editor.
T-Rex. It's broken.
Editor, I
worry
know
about
you
it.
can't see us, but can you put it in a T-Rex on Evan's camera, please? Or not
moving
camera,
around.
Photo.
But yeah, Law Flame
No.
was Olrun used that for the entire rest of the campaign because it was just so good. And in fact, Law Flame even like evolved with Olrun as he grew stronger. He kind of like
Yeah.
took over the sword in a sense and made it his own.
Yeah. And not only that, every time that you fought somebody that worshipped Tempest, they also had a flame tongue.
Yeah.
And the whole goal with that was the voice of Tempest was like, go kill these people, so he could collect the flame tongues and get this huge ass sword. And little did Oren know it was a false god, aka it was just a what would later be the stand-in for the Horsemen of War. And it's because he had like the max that he could get for flame tongue, and he was like, I'm gonna trick these people into getting their flame tongue stronger, so I can take that and be like, get the ultimate sword kind of thing.
And I think eventually Olrun did realize it. There was a moment when Olrun bit off more than he could chew because he was that kind of he was that kind of character where he was like, you wronged me, I'm gonna fight, and he bit off more than he could chew, and he died. And a part of the resurrection moment when he was brought back, he went through these whole visions and whatnot, and a part of that was realizing that the god he had been following since he left the mountain was lying to him. So Olrun's new goal was to find the followers of Tempest and eventually kill that fucking god.
Yeah. And that came after their incursion to El Terrell, which the party eventually rolled down from Cormyr into El Terrell and met with Ivalinor, who was this powerful mage. He was very old. He was an elf as well. And he was like, I know my body's failing, so I can't exactly perform these tasks of which I need. And he hired them to collect pieces of something called the Elemental Eye, which the party, unbeknownst to the party, was a key that would be used to free the god Tharizdun, which is the original being that created the Abyss, which is where all the demons come from. Of course, Ivalinor did not want to use it for that. He wanted to lock it away. And so the party kind of agreed. They're like, you know what? This is a pretty good gig working with you. You know, you pay pretty well. And eventually that sent them up to the ruins of Xantil Keep, which they found the body of, or one of the original bodies of, I forgot his name, but he's one of the leaders of the Zentarum, the older ones. And also northwards into a small city where there's a shopkeep who is kind of like, I don't give a fuck who you are, get the fuck out of here. And that was where Olrun took the offense.
Yeah, immediately clashed.
And unfortunately, there was like 4, I think there were thugs, as well as the bandit captain, which was the storekeeper. And the party did not help. And unfortunately, Olrun got backed into a corner and murdered.
First,
right there.
Olrun didn't like help.
No.
We were going to, but he was like, no.
Olrun's stubborn.
I don't think he ever asked or said no to it. I think the fight just started and everybody was like, Olrun's got this. We've seen how strong Olrun is. He can handle it.
I remember that.
I remember Jonas, at least Jonas thought that. Where Jonas was like, yeah, he got this.
I remember the consensus as well being like, all the other guards were kind of pulling up and they were like, what the fuck's going on here? And they kind of circled around the building. And that's when Olrun's body was tossed over the street and you guys were confronted and they were like, listen, you got to get out of here or else, kind of thing, you know? Like, we don't appreciate this kind of stuff in our town.
Yeah. I think it's fair that nobody helped him because it was kind of just Olrun's fault the entire thing happened. And when he was eventually revived, it was a big learning moment for him where he was like, yeah, I probably can't do that anymore. But he had to learn somehow.
Wait, was it? I don't think it was Cade that revived him. I think it might have been...
It was one of Cade's
after that,
mentors, I believe.
You went to Hillsfar, the church just outside of Hillsfar. And that's where you found somebody that could actually revive Olrun.
Yeah, because I believe I was too low of a level to know how to cast Revivify.
Yeah, and even if you did, it was you didn't have the diamonds for it.
Yeah, exactly. But I did have Sending.
Yippee!
Yippee!
Wowie zowie.
Yippee!
I pretty much had a Sending for free.
Yeah.
Way to rub it in.
And after the Hills 4 incident, the party had kind of reconvened in Elturel, and that's where they met with the infamous fucking figure of Larstreus, which completely derailed the campaign. The entire party was there, and Larstreus was talking to Valinor. And Larstreus is also this very old mage, very powerful, clad in robes and a single gauntlet. And he was a very boorish person to talk to. And Olrin used his divine sense, and they found that Larstreus was undead, which is troublesome. And this is kind of where the campaign took a turning point of, we're no longer helping find the pieces of the elemental key. We're going to fuck up Larstreus. And you guys eventually found out that he had the hand of Vecna. Does anybody really remember this point where it was like, well, this is it, I guess, like, that's what we're working on.
Yeah,
I
Olrin
think-
just followed the party most of the time.
What?
I think it was me.
I just like blanked for like 5 seconds.
So the moment where you guys kind of changed the course of the
Oh.
campaign from finding the piece of the elemental key to we're going to stop
I didn't know
Larstreus
that would
and retrieve the
completely
hand of
change the
Vecna.
course of the campaign. I thought we were just gonna fuck him up and then go back to look for the elemental eye, but then it all just went down to liches, and I was like, what happened? But okay.
That might have been
Probably.
Kate's fault.
But
aka
Zari
mine.
wasn't the type to be like, what the fuck? She didn't really care about anything.
Well, Isra
the-
also had a thing when it came to
Yeah, like her-
undead, so she was like,
Yeah, everybody kind of had an undead thing going
Yeah,
on, which is
Zari's
funny.
main thing.
yeah,
Zari's
was
main
not
thing. She
intentional.
didn't really care about the elemental eye. She didn't care about Larstreus. She just followed the party in hopes that you guys would also bring her to Virith. But then, of course, friendships formed.
Well, at this
Yeah.
point, I think at this point Zari had left,
No.
right?
no, it was after.
It was after.
It was like It was pretty much immediately after this where Zari was like,
Yeah.
"I see this is not going where I need it to."
Because he told her anyway, that Virith was in Cholt.
Yeah, so there was a moment where they were looking at jewelry and some clothes, and Larstreus pulled up to the shop that they're at and was like, just so you people know, your boyfriend, yeah, he's in the underground section of Cholt. And I remember you guys were like, well, why are you helping us? And he was like, see, I thought about not telling you, but I realized that it'll probably bring you much more distress if I do.
Yes, but
It's
we
because
love him.
Larstreus is an asshole.
Yeah.
And not only was he lying about it, and nobody could tell, it was just he took such
Yeah.
pleasure in like, I need to get you away from me because
I didn't even care.
I can tell you're going to start making moves now that you kind of, he was like, there's a conflict
but-
rising here,
So
and,
she was like,
I don't want any part
I
of
need
it."
to fucking go. Because she obviously wasn't going to be like, okay, guys, let's go. Because that's not how Zari is. So she waited until she couldn't anymore. And she left them a note and her key to her house in Daggerford. So,
Yeah,
yeah.
and
Woohoo! Free house.
I believe after this, the party had gone, because there was a couple of sessions where Halia didn't play because I was like, listen, she couldn't really think of a new character, and I was like, listen, just take your time, you don't really need to worry about it, kind of thing. And the party had gone back up into Cormyr. Now, I believe it was to rally some allies, and while they were in Cormyr, they were assailed by a man named Tabis the Thousand Souls. And this is where me as a DM, this is a cross I'll always bear, even though
Is
I was
this
like, you know what,
the
this
guy
could be
that has,
this is
like,
gonna be a
bunch
cool
of
thing
souls
that I'm
in
gonna
him?
put in there. Yeah.
This is the one that took Isra? I was there
Yep.
for that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
Yeah,
so
I
this
was
actually
gonna-
happened before.
Yeah, I was going to say because Zari was there through the whole
Oh, yes,
the whole
I actually remember.
Isra
Yeah.
being kidnapped
Probably.
thing, and then I think
You know what? That she did.
after.
She absolutely did because
Yeah, I actually think. Yeah, that's
Because-
my bad.
Which Which makes sense because it's like, oh, if you guys are gonna like leave to grab
She
Israel, then
helped.
I'm
She
just
helped
gonna leave and
get
grab my boy.
you back.
She
because
was actually
like,
there in
I know
Reykjavik.
this pain.
Yeah.
I need to
Yeah.
help Mikhail get Isra back. Because if I can get, because I was like, if I can
Yeah,
get
'cause you
him,
guys had a
her
moment.
back, then there's maybe hope that I can get mine back. So she was like, I
Yeah.
can't do that. I have to help.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I remember after they found out about Lord Shreyas, they had gone up into Cormyr, and during that time, there's a conflict with Mikhail's character where he was like, "I'm done letting this Tao take over me. You know, I'm losing more of myself and my humanity." And I remember that sparked because he learned disguise self, and he disguised himself as his previous form. And when he caught a glimpse of himself with Israel, he was like, "This is not what I want anymore."
I remember
want-
this.
Yeah, he was like, "I want myself."
They were having an argument because like,
Yeah.
Mikhail was like losing himself and becoming like this Tao thing, and Isra was like, "This is not like the man I fell in love with," but she was also like trying to help him, but she didn't really know how to help, so it led to them having an argument, and then he came back as Mikhail, and she was like, "What the fuck?" And then that's kind of, I think that's when the turning point of
because
Jonas's character happened.
wasn't
No,
Owen
I
there
described
for
it
that?
shittily, but you know,
Yeah, I was
should have
gonna
been
say.
there. You guys should have been
Yep.
there. Yeah.
I think we were gone.
I
I
don't
think it was the
believe
three of
Cade
them
was.
at like the top of the tower
Now-
or something.
I love doing it. I love doing iconic shit. That night, Mikhail separated from the Tao and became a level 1 fighter. That was
That's
the
so
first
true.
iconic moment. And then after that, they started leaving Cormyr, and they camped out. Shortly after Olrin had kicked the shit out of another worshipper of Tempest. And that's when Tabis showed up. And he was like, "Listen, I'm here to reclaim Isra. Your dad sends his regards. Now we can just, we can do this easier the hard way." And, of course, you're not giving up Isra. So he and the rest of his goons started assailing the party. And this is the second iconic thing. When they hit him, I was like, "Hey, half that damage."
And then half
Because he
it
took
again.
quarter from physical or from all damage sources, which was there was a reason for that. He kind of had like a phylactery thing going on.
Because Ryan hates us and wants us to
I hate
suffer.
No, I just thought, I was like, you know what, this is a cool concept.
It was
And
definitely
of course,
cool.
it was not cool and it was not fun. So
It was cool. The issue was that it really dragged out the combat. Because at the end,
Yeah.
we were dealing
Yeah.
probably about 2 damage every time we hit him.
He
It
was
was
cool,
like,
though.
okay, this is going to be a bit.
and he did have a cool mechanic where I'd roll a d6 every turn, and that would determine what he'd attack with. And there was an attack that did it was like, +5 to hit, d6 damage, and then one that was like 2d12 +5. And of course, I'm great with numbers. I rolled 6s pretty much every fucking turn. So there was not that random factor of like, oh, it can be shit, it can be good. It was just good.
Not our prince.
And eventually Israel was taken by Tabis, and they fled one direction.
Yeah, this was like the first moment where the party was like, we can't win. So I remember Olren was like, this man, I probably can't beat him. So I think the big thing here is try to get Isra away from him, and I think he tried to do that a couple times. I think he even casted invisibility on Isra, but it didn't work.
Yeah. And eventually Israel was captured. You guys gave chase.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they knocked her
unfortunately-
unconscious.
Yeah. They were lost in the streets of Suzail. And the party was like, fuck, what are we going to do? This is really shit. And that's when Israel was sailing across the Sea of Stars. And this was where one of the biggest moments of the campaign happened. A demon approached her in the room because he was feeding off the despair on that
this
boat.
was so
'Cause this was pretty much like a
cool.
slaving
Sorry.
boat. Yeah, and it was under her bed or in the corner of her room, and it was this dark figure, and it was like, I know what you want. You want to get out of here, and I can help you. I can help you. And it took days till she was finally like, okay. And there's a thing with Mikhail and Isra. They both had each other's souls in their rings.
Yeah.
So when Isra gave her soul to get out of this situation, Mikhail
No, she
noticed.
lost the ring.
She lost Mikhail's soul.
Because when
Uh,
she was taken, they took all her stuff except for like her funky gloves that they didn't notice. So she lost that ring.
Could we move
yeah,
back a bit?
and
How the fuck
yeah.
you have your souls in each other's rings?
So that was
They-
our backstory thing where it was like I think before it was something from the Tao,
Mm-hmm.
and he gave
Oh.
like Mikkel something, and his I guess like wish was like I don't know exactly. Ryan could probably phrase it better than I can, but it was something along the lines of like they called themselves soulmates because they had their
Yeah.
souls in their rings.
And it was because Mikhail pretty much made a wish to be like, I never want to be apart kind of thing. And if, they were ever apart, they have each other's souls.
Yeah,
And I was like, you
and
know
it was
what?
it was a get out of jail free card pretty much.
I was like, that's pretty cool. And I remember after you made that deal with the devil on that sea, Mikhail's ring crumbled away and he was like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Like, what the fuck just happened here?
Did it?
Yeah, he didn't have it anymore. Or at least it was empty.
No,
I remember him...
Wasn't it that?
I remember he...
Sorry. Continue.
I was gonna say I remember he noticed because
we had to go
it was
to
clearly
like
an
that,
empty
like,
ring
the
at that
ice
point.
thing to go get your soul back.
Huh?
Yes.
Yeah, that was
No.
after.
Oh yeah. That's what I was
That was
thinking
after.
about
Yeah,
is the fact that
that's
she
what we
didn't have a soul.
Just explain. The
Yeah,
But I feel like he had his ring because they had a whole moment where like Israel was really torn up on the fact that like she didn't have her ring anymore, and then Mikkel gave his ring to her.
I'm just saying it was like noticeably empty.
Yeah, I
Right.
feel like he
From that
might have
point on.
seen the soul exit the ring and like fly off.
Yeah, and that's why he was like, "What the fuck just
Yeah.
happened?"
Yeah, the ring was fine. It just it
Maybe.
was obvious the
Yeah.
soul had exited it.
Yeah.
Exited it. What a weird fucking phrase. I hate that phrase.
And I forget exactly where it took you. Like it put you. But it was
Put me
off
in
the
the
boat.
tower where they were.
Yeah, they were in the Purple Desert, which was right next to Ragcab. Now, if you guys know Ragcab on the map of the Forgotten Realms or anything with the lore, you know that it should just be a shitty little watering hole made by some tiefling guy. Now, obviously, I homebrewed the fuck out of it, so it was this big ass, cool ass place.
Think
And
of
there was also-
Aladdin, the kingdom
Yeah,
in
think of-
Aladdin.
Yeah. And eventually they called up Valinor and got themselves teleport. By the way, they had like practically infinite fast travel somehow. And got themselves transported back to Elturel, where they regrouped, resupplied, and of course they began the journey to getting Isra's soul back, because that's kind of important, huh?
and then we all
Yeah,
get
maybe
separated.
just a little bit.
Yeah, a tad bit. Yeah, and we're part of that.
I believe
Yeah.
Olrin and Cade got separated from the group.
Yeah, you guys were north.
Yeah,
because
because Mikhail and I think it was Zari raced off after Isra, and we weren't fast
Yeah.
enough, so we kind of lagged behind. But eventually, we all met up again. And Cade could cast sending, so it wasn't that big of a deal.
What?
Yeah, I remember you guys were aided by
Damn.
Bellis. Not Bellis. Beliar.
The white mage.
Beliar. No, not the white mage from
Hmm.
Jonas the Campaign. Beliar, who is the court mage in Arbel. And he fucked up his teleport to Ragheb, and you guys, Isra,
Yeah.
not Isra, Zari and Mikhail got teleported to the western side of this huge mountain range, and Cade and
Which is
Oren
really
got
good.
teleported to the northern side of the desert.
Mhm.
That was interesting.
I
No,
don't
no
I
idea.
don't exactly remember how Oren and Cade reconvened with the party.
I think they were only separated for a small bit. I think they were all teleported
Yeah.
together. I think they met up at
No,
the
we were
wizard
in- we
place
were in the desert,
where
and we
they
were
got
separated.
teleported.
Oh well, yeah, but I just
Yeah,
Yeah,
but I think you
'cause-
guys eventually met at that tower.
wait.
'Cause
They
I-
must have.
What I was doing is every
You-
day
you're
I was
casting
casting
sending
sending.
on the way to get
to-
teleported. We were already teleported, and we went to Rahab, and then you guys got teleported, and then I don't remember.
Yeah, but
how
even-
we
No,
were
everyone-
meeting in the desert.
Everyone.
I don't remember that. Did we meet up at Rahab together?
It probably
there was a-
wasn't too hard. I think we all met up at the tower.
There was a
Yeah,
tower
because we
that we
didn't
all
go
met
to
up at.
Rec
Oh, yeah,
until,
okay,
like,
yeah.
way after.
Yeah.
It was a
I think
ruined
there's
tower in the
something.
desert that you guys met up.
And there
at.
was a drow elf in there, right?
No, it was not a drow elf. It was a.
Yeah,
It was
Jonas
a.
and I-
It was a human, but it was a
Jonas
race of
and I
humans that
found
was
it.
driven
I think we were
underground.
just
Oh.
Which is actual canon lore for the record for that desert.
Yeah, he was cool.
Yeah, and he was like, "Have some water and I'll get the fuck out of here."
And then also, even when we were in the desert, I was still casting sending
Yeah.
to try and figure out which direction to head.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
However, eventually they all reconvened in Elturel and headed up into Icewind Dale.
and this
now,
is the time
Icewind
when
Dale is
Zari
so
left.
great because I've run it a million times. Yeah, it was right
Yeah.
before they. It was right before they had left Elturel. You left the note, and you headed south. And this was when the departure of Zari happened. Editor, paint the scene there. I'm sure you've painted scenes all the way
If you
to this point.
haven't, go back and paint the scene.
Yeah, go back. And eventually they made it into Icewind Dale, and that's when they learned a group of unknown martyrs defeated Auril, and it was all happy hunky dory, right?
Totally.
And you heard of an
love
oracle
Dazan.
named Dazan, who is a red mage. Oh, I love that guy. And you eventually met up at his tower, and that's where you met the new character Kanaya. That was Hallia's character. Would you like to share a little bit of information about her?
So Kanaya was a sad little girl. Not really. She wasn't a full adult. She was a centaur, wildfire. Is it wildfire?
Yeah, Wildfire Druid.
Wildfire druid. I wanted to try it because that was relatively new at the point of time we were playing. So I was like, this would be cool. And the reason she was out of the Feywild was because she had fire powers, and she didn't know how to control them. So her grove sort of drove her out and was like, you need to learn how to control this if you ever want to come home. So she came to Dazan, I guess, to sort of figure out a way to like either stop it, help it, or just control it.
Yeah.
So
And I remember when
Sounds
the
like
party
some
walked
backdoor
in,
shit.
it was kind of like Dazan was called an oracle, and it was actually, this was a kind of a moment where the canon was kind of revealed of the original party for Icewind Dale did triumph. It's just, because I was like, I don't really feel like working on like rerunning Icewind Dale before this arc, and Dazan was like, well, I can tell these people will help you. I can see it in your future, kind of thing. And then they were like, well, how do we, like, Isra sold her soul. What do we do? And he was like, okay, I'll need help getting to Ythryn, which is a fallen Netheril city in Icewind Dale as well, because there's a Mythalar there. And it is ancient magic, and it will help me, retrieve the soul for you. And that's when you guys embarked on the quest there. It was a not too hard quest because everything in Icewind Dale is fucking gone. And there, Dazan used the Mythalar to pull the soul of Isra out of, where it was. And she was having these visions when she'd, spectate her soul pretty much of this ship in different places. One was a sea of fire, another was a sea of ice. And it was kind of revealed to her that the demon that took it was this, it was like a pirate. So it was either go fight this demon pirate or
I got
go to this guy,
I got
Dazan. And he plucked her soul, and with it came another dark, evil soul. And from this moment on, Isra saw a face in the corner of her vision, mummified, skeletal, and terrifying. Just in the corner of her vision. Anytime she turned, it would be
Oh
gone.
my God.
But
It's that moment.
it was
That moment in the FNAF game where you have the mask on and you keep moving your head and body is just always there.
yeah. And I remember the part. What was the general consensus around this time? What did you guys think was going on with the other soul that came out?
ancestor, I think. From my memory, I remember being like, yeah, either ancestor or she was just haunted. Or just another soul came with hers.
Would make sense. She was a phantom rogue.
Yeah, I was just like, I think my original thought was just like maybe another soul got attached to hers on the way out, and she just has this other one.
I remember
Yeah.
Olren missed this moment. I missed the 1 week and everything, and I missed the one session, and all that happened in one session. the going to fucking the Yithern place and getting Israel's soul back, and when I came back, it's like she's fine, and I was like, oh nice, let's go.
Basically.
Is she though? Because I believe at some point after she got her soul back, she had a vision of Ragheb falling. And she's like, oh shit, we gotta go to Ragheb.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Then it turned into
was like,
the Isra
uh-oh.
show.
that's okay. It was a good show.
It turned into the
It was-
Isra
it
show
was a
for a
good
while.
As soon as
From
they
like
went
when
back
she
to
was
Reykjavik,
kidnapped to like now, and I was like,
Well, we'll get to that part.
Cade ended up doing his own thing.
Yeah.
don't blame you. Who wants to go to the fucking desert? It's
We
hot.
just got back.
Yeah,
from
the
desert.
party.
Yeah.
Yeah, the party kind of
Still
made
cleaning
a
up
fast
the
track.
sand out of the
Yeah,
shoes.
Ah, don't make me go back,
please,
please.
Isra. Please.
Wasn't it also around this time that Cade had the boots
No.
of levitating?
Probably.
Yeah.
Are you gonna say anything about it, or just that you had them?
Yeah, I thought you were gonna expand on that.
No.
All right.
Okay.
Well, the
It's
party
just-
made a fast track to Ragheb, and there they kind of got baited. The soul that
Get
that came
baited.
out. I remember at the time you guys were like, "Is that Vector's soul?"
Yeah.
But it wasn't. It was one of Isra's ancestors named Virak. Virak Kuthin Cathar, or whatever the fuck the guy's name was. It was super long and it was weird. And there's a ton of lore there because he was the original king of the desert. And what he did was he rose an army of the dead and conquered the entirety of the rest of the civilizations there. And that's why Ragheb stands as pretty much the sole city in the desert. And of course, he was defeated by none other than his son and daughter, which were both granted various titles, one of which was the Maiden of Rising Tears, I believe it was. Where was it?
It's reading. He's got the notes pulled up.
The abyss.
I do
Based.
have my notes pulled up.
Let me get
There
my
was
notes.
the Maiden of Rising Tears, and I believe the other one was just called the Harbinger. Yep, known as Harbinger. And what happened was that they kicked his ass and banished his soul, and his body was laying out in the desert. And what he did was he planted this vision inside of Isra's head, and she saw it to go back. And when he was there, he stopped piggybacking off of Isra and entered his own body. And there he did end up, pretty much sinking Ragheb. Not literally, but he killed a fuck ton of people. And when they arrived at the Kareem Palace, his father was there possessed. Or her father was there possessed.
Mm-hmm.
Isra
and
was
the
a
fight
dude
that-
the entire time?
Yeah, my bad, guys. And what ensued was, I think, one of the coolest fights of that campaign, where Olren, like the boss he is, completely fucked up Virak.
Did I?
Yeah.
Let's go.
It was
So I was
like
looking at
3
over
attacks.
my
It was-
notes. Who's Virak?
Virak Kathim Kuthin is his name. And he was the,
Yeah.
the first Karim. And
First
he
Karim.
possessed Isra's father. And I remember because Isra's father
Yeah.
died
Yep.
because of how much damage went through the possession.
Yep.
And I think almost 2 people in the party almost died too, because I think Oren, he did a fuck ton of damage and went unconscious, and I think Isra also went unconscious.
Isra went unconscious in almost every fucking fight we
Absolutely.
did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Those rogues, man.
And I actually think the person who kind of saved the day was Kanaya, because she let loose, I think it was either a moonbeam or some kind of fire spell that ended up vanquishing
Did I?
Virak.
Oh, I don't
Yeah.
think I did
Let's
any
go,
of
you.
that, but I must take it.
Go,
Thank
Kanaya.
you. Thank you.
Take it.
I'm pretty sure you did. Like it was your combined effort with Olren, who I believe was just
There was
barely
definitely
hanging
another
on there.
fight that they did that involved that. I don't remember.
Past this point, yeah, it was the last fight before the campaign
I
ended.
think so.
Was there any other moments in Radcap that you guys can remember?
Ezra had a big
Ezra.
dilemma.
Mm-hmm.
Don't know, I wasn't there.
She was like this close from leaving the campaign.
Yeah.
This.
Damn,
you
yeah.
can't. You can't.
Because you had
you
the
can't see
kingdom
me,
to lead now.
Editor, you can't see me, but put a this close in. You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, editor will get it. The editor will get it.
Yeah, so because where she was from, reviving people wasn't really like a thing that they did. They kind of accepted that it was your
Oh,
time,
damn,
and
sorry.
then
Because I went around helping people.
they accepted that it was your time, and you then you live your new life in the afterlife was kind of their beliefs. So she was struggling with like what she was born, like her born, I guess, religion or what she wanted to do, and she ended up doing what she wanted to do.
Yeah, so in that moment, another thing that was that happened was Virak rose a man named Nahir Kathin, which was his son from the dead, kind of to be like, oh, you're
that's
gonna be...
true.
Yeah. And he ended up being like, I'm gonna help you guys with your fight versus fucking Vecna, or whatever the fuck you guys are doing. Call upon me when you need me. But a mysterious part of it was his sister, Faerun Kathin, was missing. The body was missing, and she wasn't resurrected, so... However, after Ragcab, I believe the party, there was a couple minor things that I can't really remember that happened in between this. But I believe after this, you guys went to the Spine of the World, right?
Yeah.
I believe so.
Maybe.
And if you'd like to enlighten us a little bit about that, Noah.
Well, I don't really know much, but I think there was a point in the campaign when Oren kind of realized that he was growing weak by being away from the Spine of the World, and that was something he had to come to terms with, and something that at this point he couldn't. So he was like, I need to return home, and I need to see how much I've grown, and I need to figure out what's been happening. He's been away so long, and the only reason he was away was because he was following Tempest's orders. But now that he wasn't following Tempest, he didn't really know what to do. So he went back up to the Spine of the World. I remember a big part of when they first went to Icewind Dale was that Oren was worried for the group. He really tried to scare them away from Icewind Dale, because Oren thought that they were too weak, that they couldn't survive. But he totally proved them wrong when they went to Icewind Dale and they got Ezra's soul back. So this time, when they went back to the Spine of the World, Oren was like, "Yeah, you guys can join if you want. You've proven yourself." And they met back up with his tribe, the Noir Attendant, still led by Blackhand. And Oren had changed, and Blackhand still thought of Oren as beneath him, even though he was his left hand. Blackhand still, I think when Oren first came in and the entire group was with him, Blackhand was like I can't allow these outsiders to come in. What if I just kill them? And Oren was like, you will not hurt these people. And they both kind of stood up at each other, and they invoked some rite of proving where they would fight. And it was a big moment. Oren finally standing up to the leader of his tribe, the man who when he was younger, thought the man he looked up to greatly and who saved his life. And they all gathered around. They formed like a big ring.
That was so cool.
And first round of combat, yeah, it was some they were chanting and stomping on the ground. We were getting real into it. Oren swung, did some radiant damage. Hell yeah. Guy didn't look hurt at all. And then he swung at Oren, gone down to half HP. And at this moment, Orin looked towards the group and said, "Heroes of Cormyr, I need your aid." And the group fucking went to action, and there was a big fight against the Black Hand.
Yeah, a couple notable things that happened there was when you arrived back, he was like, "Oh, the master of the Spider Throne came and he granted us many gifts." And with the party, he was like, "You've brought us sacrifices. That's great. This is great." And you were like, "You won't lay a finger on them." And he was like, "Really? Are you gonna stop me?" And during the fight of the Rite of Proving, there's this giant ass frost giant skeleton that they had brought back, which was a common ancestor for the Noir Tenon. And it was pretty much like a AoE. Everyone in the ring got hit by it, including Black Hand. And it was a scary fight. And seeing the party work together like that, it was a very cool character moment for Orin. Seeing him, finally accept that, like, help is not a thing that the weak do. It's something that the strong can bring themselves to do,
Yeah.
And through a very triumphant and long battle, they bested Black Hand, who promptly sunk into the ground and pretty much melted. And Oren earned the title of Sun Wielder because of the fucking bright light of his divine smites, which editor paint the scene of that. It's fucking awesome. Let's take a moment to marvel in it. Now stop marveling at it. And I think that moment was a very, very cool moment of the campaign.
Yeah.
I think it was probably
And
one
it
of the- I think
also
it was
it was. I was
Oh,
gonna
I
say it
was
was
gonna say,
also kind of thematically relevant with the with Izra's moment, where we went to Izra's hometown. There was a big undead threat that we dealt with, and now Izra had the backing of her community for when we eventually went to go take on Vecna. And that's kind of what happened with Ulrun too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I remember you guys ventured down the mountains with the Noir Tenon and set up camp out of Daggerford, which was promptly now named the Heart of Heroes. As Mikhail, everywhere they went throughout the campaign, was like, "Hey, bartender, tell any adventures that you come by. In 6 months, there's going to be a huge thing that heroes will be needed in Daggerford. There's going to be a big turn up." And after that moment, the party ventured down east of Daggerford after hearing about the attacks which have been being hosted. These huge hordes of undead were appearing in the rebuilt Daggerford. And they, Kanaya scouted out the area and found that there is a necrotic temple where an army was being risen. And through some preparation, the party ventured down. And this was where one of the moments that I believe we talked about a couple episodes ago happened, where there was a villain who I carefully placed 90 feet away so they couldn't counterspell his teleport. But it was a scripted moment where he was pretty much like, "Hello, party. I've heard a lot about you. I'll give you one question before."
And Jonas was like, "Am I handsome?"
And
It was like.
And Jonas, the eccentric fellow that he was,
Yeah.
wasted the question on something
Yeah,
like,
it was like.
"What's your name?" Like, and
Yeah.
he was
I don't
like,
know why, but it was
I don't even
some
remember
dumb
what
like. Do
she
these
said.
do these robes?
Ah.
It was something that was so trivial.
It was just like, no.
Yeah,
It wasn't
pretty
anything
much-
like
it was pretty
that.
much-
Like
it
he
was
was,
just-
I think it was just
it
like,
was
"What's
just
your
silly.
name?" And we
That's all
already
I'm
knew his
saying.
name.
Yeah. And he was like, "I'm him," and he was like, "Man, it really sucks that you beat the fuck out of Lorval. I really like that kid, so fight him again." And then he teleported out of there, and they fought a stat-blocked cadaver. And with that, he could summon ogre zombies that could paralyze, but unfortunately, he never got to because you guys
Well,
killed him so
we
fast.
didn't.
What the fuck's with that?
We're fucking goaded.
you
with
guys
the
were goated.
sauce.
We got
And that's
sauce.
where the campaign ended off. Past that point,
Yeah, unfortunately.
we thought like, well, Noah's not going to be able to make it because of college, and Jonah started, being like, "I can't make it on Thursdays." So after a period of like 3-4 months, I was like, well, chances are Noah's going to be connected to the characters. And honestly, I feel like we should just,
we
fresh
forgot.
slate. And that's kind of
Let's get right
the
into
story.
this.
Zari coming back.
That's true.
Oh, Zari did come back. Zari did make a comeback.
Because I had a. Okay, so Isra had an ability where if she was really close to a soul, a person, she could connect with them and like, soul bond. It was kind of like a scrying, but solely, and I used that on Zari, and I showed her a vision of like this big fight with a lich, and I was like, we need your help, and you're like,
it was
princess,
so
I am coming.
Cool, because fucking
Yeah.
I could see it in my brain.
Yeah.
It was just like, Zari going up to like I don't know what the front of the ship's called, the front of the ship, and she was going up there to hang out with Virith, and then she got that image, and she's like, well, I'm coming. And Virith is like, okay, no problem, girl, we got you.
Hey.
Okay.
Hey.
Fuck yeah.
And they came with their pirate crew. They were space pirates at that point.
That's true.
But yeah, that's kind of where the campaign ended.
I mean, we did kind of skip over Lorlock's crypt.
Oh, Lorlock's crypt. Honestly,
What even
Lorlock's
happened
crypt
with
was
that?
a whole
Why was that
thing,
so
and
important? Yeah, you
I
lost
lost
fingers.
fingers.
Bro.
Kate lost
yeah,
his fingers.
there was a huge.
So
was a
one
pretty-
day,
He got hungry. Ang, 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 ang.
when we were
Whatever.
trying to figure out what to do, we were looking at the map, and we were like,
Okay.
let's go to Warlock's
That
crypt.
was
That
so
sounds
fun.
cool. Let's go there. And
That was
it
funny.
did not go well.
Sorry. Because that was
Let's just
funny
say-
because for the first time ever, we were like, we have nothing to do. We have no one to save. We don't have to go anywhere. What the fuck do we do now? It's so sad.
This
You're like, what do
fucking
we do? There's no
Faerun
one to
is boring
save.
as shit.
We're just sitting around.
Yeah, because we were
and-
waiting like 3 months for all of heroes to fucking gather or some shit.
Yeah, and they were like, "Oh, Warlock's Crypt sounds fun." And for people who don't know, Warlock's Crypt is called Warlock's Crypt because the original name is Larlock's Crypt.
But got lost in translation.
And Larlock's Crypt is an underground netherrealm city ruled over by a lich named Larlock with an army of 60 liches, thousands of undead, thousands of trolls, and a bunch of fuck you right in your face. So they went down there and got their asses handed them by a fucking army of liches because la la la.
Editor,
thank
can you paint the scene of what a thousand fuck yous or whatever Ryan said?
Just paint
look
that
like?
whole scene. It'll be
Paint it.
really funny. But just it brings into question, when I go to write stuff in my campaign, I don't think I'm going to put an army of liches. You know, that seems kind of stupid. What? Dude, they were like, I don't even care. An army of liches sounds sick as hell. I'm going to put 60 liches down here because that's cool. Like, what? Like, you know what you could do with 60
did it.
liches? Lorlock could take over the world. Because he's a isolationist. Well,
I mean, we did try to get him on our side for the fight against Vecna.
he was like, I'll help you fuck up Vecna because I'm the strongest. Oh, not Vecna.
I
that
think
was
the only
kinda
reason
the
why we got
whole-
out of there was because of
I
Cade's
wasn't here for this,
sacrifice.
so I have no idea what happened.
Yeah. Yeah, Larlock was pretty much like, say I own you, and we can move on. Because he's an egotistical narcissist, and he's like, I'm in total control. I'll kill you and your
Ew,
friends
that's
unless
some
you say
Christian
that
Grey
you guys
shit.
belong to me. It wasn't literally like that. He was like, you're you know, you're part of my thing now. Just say it, and we'll move on. But yeah, that was a huge moment.
Yeah, that was a
we
big
overpassed
moment
because,
for Cade.
Yeah, he lost two fingies.
Yeah, and that's when he had to
Yeah,
bite,
he had to
bite his
accept
pride.
things.
He had to bite his pride and actually work with something that he hates.
Yeah. Well, I'd like to thank all of you for joining us today on this side quest for the Forgotten Realms through Faerun.
Did you
And if you made it to
understand
this
any
point-
of this?
Yeah, if you made it to this point, you would deserve a medal. You deserve a medal. You know, I feel like that's the case for most of these
Please.
episodes, but
Did they
Give
level
them-
up
give
because
them a
of this
pity-
episode? I
give
hope
No,
Yeah, it's
so.
been
but-
a while since they leveled up.
No.
no, they leveled up last episode. No,
Yeah,
I'm gonna give
I
them
think
something.
we did
Pity
level
level.
up. Did you even mark it on their character sheet?
I
don't think you
did. Last
did.
episode, it was level 5. What are you guys talking about?
No!
I swear to
run
God.
the tapes. Run the tapes.
If there is no
Sorry,
proof
we were
of this
just not
level
on
up,
the
I'm
computer.
storming out of this room right now.
No, but I'll give you a bag of magical beans. Why not?
Let's go!
Yeah.
It ain't no
Anyways,
alchemy
thank you.
drug.
Pirate.
Thank you for joining us this week on this episode of Side Quest. You can tune back in this Friday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for Descent to Holmes End, or next Monday for episode 13 of Side Quest. Again, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, as always.
Bye-bye.
Thank you so much for joining us, guys.
Bye!
Bye. Bye. Bye.